Okay guys, so I've got this epsom printer and I'm going to pull it apart and we're going to turn it into a mono ball mill. I've made one, not from the same printer, so I don't know what's got inside, but I'm pretty sure out of this we should be able to create a mono ball mill, and I find them to work really fantastic. So this one in particular looks like it doesn't have screws, so we should be able to use these clips here and maybe press it in and sort of, you know, undo it like that. Yeah, okay, that'll work. Okay, so that seems to come off pretty easy. Just those clips and the whole thing was clipped together. So we're left with the printer now. Now, the rest is just screws. So a bit overkill. I just recently got one of these AEG 18 volt force lithium ion. This one's something like 150 Newton meters of torque. It's just incredibly powerful drill. Totally overkill for anything like this. You could use a little one. But what I do have, which comes in really handy, is one of these long drill bits. So we should be able to unscrew that. Okay, so this can probably just get ripped off. Can't see any real reason to need that. Oh no, it won't come off. It'll come off from the end pieces. Alright, so we'll just basically anywhere you can see screws that are attaching to the base, take them out, and you should be able to lift this whole section off at some point. A few screws that are hidden in there. But, that's what we want. Doesn't really matter if we break the plastics. That must be another screw. Okay, there are some screws up the back here, so we can just flip them out. We'll see how that goes. Something's still holding it. This one has got a bit of a hidden screw down in here. So I had to go through this section in here and see that's a bit hard. And I can just get it on an angle and unscrew that. And then it sort of comes apart. So that wasn't too hard, but it was a bit difficult finding that hidden screw. Okay, so now we have that separated. Keep the power supply. Can actually use that to power the system that we're going to create. So now we have a rod here. We have a rod here. We have another rod here. So we've got 3 stainless steel rods. Each one can be used. Okay, so we can keep that separate now and pretty much discard that. Now we're left with this part here, the power unit. So if you can, I would have thought that was a plug. It looks like a plug. But anyway, let's come off with the 4 wires, it's fine. It's intact. Yeah, it's probably like a 50 watt with variable voltages. One of them I pulled apart a while back had 3 different voltages up to 36 volts. Low amps, but yeah, great. Now we have, I think that's the paper feeder that can probably just be come off the end there. Yeah, there's one rod there. And we have another motor here that's connected by screws great little motor, that one, I'd say. And we have a oh, I thought we had an, oh, there we are, got another motor here. Now I don't know if these are DC yet. I'll have to have a bit of a play with them. A lot of printers you get are DC motors, and it's obviously very easy to connect. This part here, just basically, you got to be a bit careful with your hands because some of this is actually a bit sharp, but a lot of it just sort of comes away, and you can use a screwdriver just to pry things a bit. Get in here and use a bit of leverage. Yep, a bit of leverage and that one come off. And these are the beauties we're after. So we've got them ones and them ones. Now we've got a really long one. This is the longest one I've seen on a little cheap printer. These are like $50 printers. People throw them out. I think they sometimes run out of ink and they throw them out in this country. It's just a country that's a bit spoiled, I think. So you can see how easily these come out. They just got a hook, and oh, my little microphone fell out. So they got a little hook, and then that just pops out. Look at that beauty, absolute beauty. That's 450 mil long, I think. Okay, so it looks like we can just take these out quite simply with the drill driver, but they're actually screws that go right through the motor, so once we take them out we can take the motor off and we can just put the screws back on. There we go, and then we can just put these little nuts back on here. We can tighten up those screws, so that shouldn't be too hard for anyone. Now you got this belt, keep that belt, might use it for something. Let's take this motor off too. Well, it's you can see the copper in there. It's quite exposed. It's looks like it's quite powerful. I'd say that little motor for what it does. I'd say it's a brushless DC, so we might have a few problems playing with it, but that can be sorted. And then we have that's about it. Then we got like, you know, other little bits here and there, but nothing we're going to use. So the rest can be discarded and thrown into the recycle bin, and it will go and get recycled with all the other printers. You pull that out. Don't really need any of them electronics. Yeah, just use a screwdriver instead of your fingers for things, because there are little bits of sharp metal that might cut your fingers. And I'd say this one here can go, okay, that's for there. We'll open up the electronics driver area because I want to try and keep that wire as long as possible. And of course, there's always got to be something that's a bit harder, isn't there? Alright, so I want to keep that as long as possible. I'll just cut that off there. So that's interesting. This particular epsom printer, I got stepper motors out of. These are stepper motors, and I won't be using these. I don't want to create a stepper motor driver. I just want to use a pulse width modulator to modulate the power, which most of the time I don't need to. This is the motor I got out of quite a few others. So if you do end up with stepper motors, that's fine. You won't use them, but you will get these long rods still out of an epsom, any printer, and that's what we're really after. You'll find any motor out of a printer will work for the actual drive unit, besides these stepper motors. So both these are stepper motors. I'll use them for something else. So yeah, that's really what you're after.